And there we have it. Ludwig 15,000 bringing the Skaven against Mrlemarquis and the Dark Elves. This is round 2 and match point for Mrlemarquis. If he wins it, he's going to the finals. If he loses, we're going to an ace match, and Ludwig lives to fight another day. So best of luck to both of these players, and big shout out to the coaches, Willamos, the coach of Ludwig, and Odium Sifos, the coach of Mrlemarquis. So, here we are. Covering the Skaven first, okay? So we're going to have Skaven Slave Spears. 1, 2, is that 3 of them? Yeah, 3 Skaven Slave Spears. We got ourselves some Plague Monks. Looks like we're going to have at least 1, 2, and 3 units of these Plague Monks on the field of battle. Got some Rat Ogres supporting for that massive armor-piercing bonus. 1, 2, yeah, so just 2 Rat Ogres. Now, aside from that, we have some Clan Rats with shields. Looks like just going to be 1 of them? Yeah, then no, sorry, 2 Clan Rats with shields. And then we're going to have some Skaven Slave Spears, which we already covered, some Skaven Slaves up front. And then we have Poison Wind Mortars and Warp Block Giselles, one of them being the Natty Boo Boo Sharpshooters. And we also have a Warp Lightning Cannon further back here for the Skaven forces. And I believe that makes up the army. Now for the leadership, it does appear we have an assassin, and I'm going to guess Deathmaster Snitch nearby. Yes, we certainly do. These guys coming in here to snipe some of the poor Dark Elf lords. And then we have a Plague Priest here, going to be bringing Pestilent Birth and Vermintide and nothing else. And that rounds out the Skaven army. Alrighty, now for the remainder of the participants on the battlefield, that was a strange way to phrase it. For the red player, we have 3 Dark Riders with repeater crossbows, vanguarded up on the left side of their flank. Got Witch Elves, Sisters of Slaughter, and the Sisters of Singing Doom Witch Elves over here with some Bleak Swords hidden in the forest. We're also going to see more Bleak Swords and another unit of Witch Elves with a Feral Manticore in the air to support them. Other than this, we got 2 Cold One Knights that just got moved. Over here on the far right, vanguarded into the forest, we have some Dark Riders with shields. Same thing back here in the other far corner, Dark Riders with shields. Probably going to look for an opportunity to come out of these woods and dive in on top of those juicy range units if they get exposed. Now, also in the air, we have the Crows of Cain. Is that what they call? Yeah, the Crows of Cain Harpies. They have regeneration when they're in combat and they cause fear. And for the Lord, where are you at? There you are. Do we have a Sorceress? We sure do. A Supreme Sorceress of Beast. Going to be bringing Flock of Doom, as well as Arcane Conduit and Transformation of Kadan for that Manticore summon. Dark Elf's going to be pushing up through the forest. I'm imagining they're doing this for a couple of reasons. First, and possibly foremost, because it's going to block the avenue of fire from the Skaven. Warp Lightning Cannon won't be effective shooting through all this trees, and that should block a ton of the incoming fire and also keep a lot of the Dark Elves hidden. The second reason, and you know, something I really like to see players doing, is he is moving his main army on the opposite side of the map from his vanguarded units. This is going to open up potential opportunities for these vanguarded units to come right into the rear without the Skaven noticing and do some really good damage in the back lines, because they're going to be turning their attention clearly over here to where the bulk of the Dark Elf army is clearly visible. Missing the Witch Elves. That's what I was saying about this terrain. It makes it hard for the direct line of fire artillery to get good shots because there's so much terrain for units to hide behind. Over here, Warp Block Giselle is just firing away at the Dark Riders with repeater crossbows. I think these guys are getting a bit ahead of themselves. Probably want to pull back before they let these guys do too much damage on them. But now they're firing into the Natty Boo Boo Sharpshooters, doing some good damage. There's Harpies coming in over here. Just feel like this engagement is a bit premature. kind of playing to the Skaven's advantage. Feral Manticore eating up some more fire from the Warp Lightning Cannon. The the Crows of Cain getting on top of the Natty Boo Boo Sharpshooters. They're going to start taking some damage. They are a small unit, so the spears won't do extra damage against them, but as you see right here, Rat Ogres diving in and just crushing those Harpies. Here comes another Manticore getting summoned. And right now the Skaven formation is effectively defending itself, but also getting kind of clumped up, showing some gaps. And if the Dark Elves play this right, they may be able to exploit some of these gaps and really start shutting units down. But so far, looking like the Skaven coming out on top in those initial trades. Cold One Knights diving into Rat Ogres, getting supported by Skaven Slave Spears. Frontline engagements are going down. We're going to see that the Sisters of Singing Doom taking an ungodly amount of damage. They got a Plague Monk summoned behind them, Plague Monks in front of them, and Plague Monks on the flank. So they just got decimated by Plague Monks. And Dark Riders, though, here it is. There's the opportunity they were looking for. They are on top of the artillery with a Feral Manticore summon. Over here, Feral Manticore summon going down on top of these Skaven Slave Spears. And Terror going down on top of the Warp Lightning Cannon. Potentially Natty Boo Boo Sharpshooters. Yep, there they go, getting Terror routed too. But the infantry engagements are actually going okay for the Skaven for the most part. You see these Plague Monks over here taking out the Sisters of Singing Doom, getting in combat with the Sisters of Slaughter, tying down these Witch Elves over here as well. And a lot of the Skaven backline has been compromised. Cold One Knights in here, pinning down the Assassin and Lord Skrulk. Deathmaster Snitch. And the Repeater Crossbows continuing to fire in and taking a higher level view of the battle. You know, these Manticores are probably giving some false inflation to the Dark Elves, but, you know, right now, after an initial start that was pretty rough on them, it looks like they are starting to pull this back into their favor, and the balance of power is reflecting that. Right now, we're going to see the Plague Priest getting focused by the Manticore summon. The Sisters of Slaughter doing well in the combat here against the Plague Monks, taking them out. Witch Elves over here also going to win their engagement. And just with the amount of Skaven units like routing right now, I think the Dark Elves just need to worry about chasing off the remaining range units from the Skaven. Make sure they don't come back, and then you're probably good to go from there. Over here, Plague Priest regaining his composure, but there he is getting attacked by that Manticore one more time. And now we have Witch Elves coming in. Skaven Slave Spears hitting the Sisters of Slaughter in the rear. But yeah, it doesn't look like the Plague Priesters are going to survive this as far as I'm concerned. And the balance of power is really starting to shift against the Skaven here. Sisters of Singing Doom have come back. And yeah, Plague Priest has been dealt with. He is shattered, running off right now. Assassin getting terror routed. And now Deathmaster Snitch is about to get singled out by Witch Elves. And, oh, luckily for him, that Feral Manticore just timed out and fell to the ground dead as a doornail. Poison Wind Mortars regained their composure for a moment, but now Dark Riders are going to come in and make sure they exit the map. And the balance of power is just getting further and further out of hand. Excuse me. Assassin and Snitch seem to be the main things keeping the balance of power from going completely out of control. But now the Crows of Cain are on top of the Assassin. And I think the Dark Elves have done it. They played this very, very well, and there's army losses, and Deathmaster Snitch is going to get sent packing. Very, very good game to Mr. Mrlemarquis. Like, he played that beautifully. And ODM chosen, you're hyped for next week. Hyped to not get knocked out 2-0 in round one. Well, only time will tell. I am hyped for next week, too. The best of the best fighting for the prize next weekend should be epic. But speaking of epic, great battles to these two players. Huge shout out to their coaches, Willemos and Syphos. You guys have done a great job training these players, and I'm really excited to see what happens next. So Willemos, thank you for coaching. Unfortunately, I believe both of his players are knocked out. Yeah, Galahad and Ludwig. So that coach has no more players on the field. King of the Dead, Captain Melons, and Aetherian have both been knocked out. Romulan Dog still has Impetuous Skink in the race. Dynamite has been knocked out. Chosen One, Thanquil, and Encarnacion have been knocked out. BBB Chief has lost Nick Klaus, but Alfredino is still in the runnings. He's in the next semifinal we're about to go watch. Aristodemos, Parkmap, and Poison Ducky, both of them have been knocked out, but thank you for coaching as well. Shetland Apache, Captain Clanky, and Protocol Wired have both been eliminated. Thank you for coaching. And then for Sifos, Croissant Bert has been knocked out, but Mr. Mrlemarquis is in the final. So Sifos has the first player to reach it to the final. So congratulations to him and to his player, Mr. Mrlemarquis. And we'll see how this goes.